What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. I mean, I still don't know if this is real life or not, to be completely honest with you. Like, 5 minutes after the game ended, I just had to sit in my chair and just, like, it was hard to breathe. I don't have asthma. I was shocked. I was so expecting, like, a pass interference call or something like that. The Eagles are the best team in football. They're the Super Bowl champions. Our first Super Bowl champion. No more rings jokes. And we did it without Carson Wentz. We did it without Jason Peters, without Jordan Hicks, without Darren Sproles, without Chris Maragos. And still, we beat the GOAT, Tom Brady. I mean, I can't, like, I'm going to have to sleep on it and to make a video or something like that tomorrow. Like calm and collected thoughts. I can't even do a grades video right now. Nick Foles is an Eagle legend. Nick Foles is an absolute legend. Both defenses are absolutely terrible. These were two of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen. But when push came to shove, the better defense made the play when Brandon Graham got the forced fumble on Tom Brady. Derek Barnett recovered it. I was a little bit worried after the field goal attempt. They had all that time. And then the Philly, Jim Schwartz had a horrific game. Especially, even though we won the game, it's typical Eagle fan still to be able to bitch. And the fact that he gave Gronk that much open space, I get you're just, you know, how many times is a team going to get burned by going in, like, you know, prevent defense before they realize just play your game, play your scheme. But Eagles are Super Bowl champions, man. I can't believe it. It's been 15 years of me being an Eagles fan. I'm Canadian. Everyone knows I'm pretty much Canadian. So I wasn't born into the Philadelphia Eagles, but 2002-2003 season is when I became an Eagles fan. I jumped on at the right time. We had the Super Bowl run for 39 against the Patriots. I wasn't a full-fledged diehard Eagle fan at that point. I was just like, yeah, they're the team I watch. And that loss didn't really hit me that hard. I was really frustrated. Darrow's Arrows used to be featured on the channel as a New England Patriot fan. He kind of rubbed that one in. And little did I know, when I made the Eagles my team, that I was going to suffer 13 years of no Super Bowls. And tonight makes up for it, man. I would have liked to see the defense play a little better. I would have liked to see a little bit more domination. But at the end of the day, this is definitely a moment I will never forget in my life. You know, we're crediting this victory to my son once again. I took my undefeated Carson Wentz jersey. The Eagles are 2-0 in the playoffs. He's sick as shit. I didn't care. I let him sneeze on it. He was just all over this jersey. And when it counted, the TD, I mean, I want to try to make a good video. I just can't, man. It's been, those of you that have been with me for, some of you guys have been here 7 years on the channel, 5 years, 3 years. You know, man, I put on for the Eagles as much as any other person here on YouTube. And this means the fucking world to me, man. It's next to my son being born, it's probably the greatest moment of my life. To top it off with Brian Dawkins getting into the Hall of Fame yesterday. I mean, here's foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. If the Philadelphia Eagles, there's a chance Philly trades out, right? They're picking 32. But now, with the draft held in Dallas, you know Brian Dawkins is going to walk up there with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft. Your Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles select. That's all. Like, that's what I'm hoping for now, man. Close to tears. I didn't get to tears. I was close to tears. I know if my son was here, he's sleeping. I would have probably been bawling like a little baby. But my live reaction to the Eagles winning is on my Twitter, at PapaXC4, after the Derek Barnett fumble recovery. That's probably as raw emotion as you're going to get from me. And all I can say, man, is I'll be hitting refresh on the NFL shop when I can buy my kid and myself some of that Eagles Super Bowl champion merch. I got to get the patch. I'm not going to go all in and get a Nick Foles jersey, a new one, but I'm going to get the Super Bowl patch. Get that sewn on to my old Nick Foles jersey, and he is going right now. Here's another thing. So my Nick Foles jersey, you guys, if you guys way back when, I might do it at 50,000 subscribers. I did a setup type video, and I showed, like, in my bedroom, I have the Wall of Fame. The GOAT Eagles are up there. I got Cunningham. I got Jerome Brown. I got Reggie White. I got Brian Dawkins. There's room for one more now. And downstairs in my basement, that's where all the old gear goes. I got a Trent Cole. I got a crappy McCoy jersey. I got the Mike Vick. I got the Kiko Alonso. And Nick Foles was sitting downstairs in my basement collecting dust, covering a hole up in the wall. I'm taking that Nick Foles jersey. I'm sewing on the Super Bowl patch, and he is going dead fucking center in the middle of the GOAT wall. I said in my hype video that Philadelphia is enamored with the backup quarterback. Philadelphia is enamored with being the underdogs. Everything about Philly is underdog. The most famous pop culture thing that ever come out of Philadelphia is about an underdog. They're like damn John Cena if you're a wrestling fan. They can somehow, some way, always find themselves in seemingly insurmountable odds. And this was the year that Nick Foles, a guy that was borderline retirement, that was ready to, take his cleats off, throw him up over a power line like Marshawn Lynch, and sail off in the sunset. He dueled with Tom Brady. That was a shootout. That was two damn quarterbacks going up against terrible defenses. This was Nick Foles, the same Nick Foles that couldn't even play for their Jeff Fisher Rams team. And he stood in there, no matter how big the moment was, and he made plays. Zach Ertz, that was a touchdown. I think if you're a Patriot fan, that Corey Clement, I think I'm gonna have to get a Corey Clement jersey. I'm due to get a new black jersey, midnight black jersey. I have a Michael Kendricks and the lettering starting to fall off it. I could probably stitch it if I wanted to. I don't know who I'm gonna get yet, but Corey Clement is making a strong case, man. Everything about him was a beast. His touchdown, definitely skeptical about that, but I feel like when you look at the penalties, what was it, 7 penalties against the Eagles, 1 against the Patriots, the refs, the PI, basically the big thing is what I saw, I made them quote on Twitter, is the pass interference that happened on Alshon Jeffrey in the end zone that probably would have been a touchdown, worst case scenario, should have been on the 1, blatant pass interference. It was straight up tackling him, wasn't called, and I was like, these refs, god damn it. And then the Corey Clement touchdown that stood, which looks like Roger Goodell's come out and said he wants to change the catch rule. Maybe this was the first game of implementing that, because let's be honest, probably in the realm of the old catch rule or what's going on this year, probably not a catch, even though it was kind of 50-50. Personally, looking at trying my best as a neutral, probably wasn't a catch, but I feel like it's a make-up call. That was an absolute make-up call. Patriot fans, I don't care if you're super salty about that being there. The PI not called on Alshon Jeffrey was an absolute game changer right after you got gifted the luckiest play of the entire Super Bowl, where Alshon Jeffrey could have had a 50-yard bomb setting us up in the 5-yard line. Deflects, gimmicky ass. Like, of course, the Patriots, the one team that definitely needs luck to stay in these games, gets that pick. And it was a makeup call, man. Personally, yeah, I think you got to give MVP to Nick Foles. I think the most dominant player in that game for me was probably Alshon Jeffrey, but because he was pretty much non-existent in the second half, it's going to be tough. LeGarrette Blount, one of the players I constantly go off on. That I say LeGarrette Blount is, why are they using him? Deuce Staley, what are you doing? Put in Jay Jai, who I think had an injury, a little bit of a nagging ankle injury, or use Corey Clement. LeGarrette Blount proved me wrong, made me shut up. 90 yards, a touchdown. I was waiting for a fumble. If you remember, LeGarrette Blount fumbled in the game, the Super Bowl last year against the Falcons, and didn't play for the rest of the half. That's why James White got so involved and had the type of box score that he did. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Corey Clement had 100 yards and a touchdown. Incredible. I said the Philadelphia Eagles need to use Corey Clement like Alvin Kamara. He has the talent to execute that type of role. I think Alvin Kamara obviously is the more gifted running back. Alvin Kamara is an absolute beast. I'm a huge fan of Alvin Kamara. Helped me win a fantasy football trophy. But Corey Clement, next year, the running back attack of Corey Clement, Jay Jai, gotta have Philadelphia Eagle fans fully torqued down there. Nelson Aguilar, bust. Nelson Aguilar was a bust. He was a bum. He had bricks for hands. He had hands that, like, when Tom Brady tried to catch that pass, that was Aguilar's hands. 9 catches for 9 catches for 84 yards. You can't write them. How did Doug Peterson not win Coach of the Year with a backup quarterback in a game that was a shootout? This was one of those ones, even the most impartial fans said if Philadelphia is going to win this game, it's going to because their defense dominates, gets pressure on Tom Brady. Defense got no pressure on Tom Brady. Defense was thrown up an absolute goose egg. And Doug Peterson finds a way to scheme for Nick Foles to make plays. He calls that awesome trick play. Trey Burton was, at one point in time, was listed as a quarterback on the Florida Gators depth chart. Trick pass, Nick Foles. I mean, that is a play that's going to go in infamy. You had the 4th down calls. Doug Peterson's Coach of the Year, man. And I think at the end of the day, you don't need to be super worried about it because you get the Super Bowl trophy. Let McVay and whatever have all that. The fact that he got 1 vote for Coach of the Year is absolutely ridiculous. But I still feel like, man, Doug Peterson, I came into this season, watch any of my videos in the preseason. He was my big question mark. His play calling last year as a rookie head coach was very, very questionable. His decision making going for it on 4th downs or not kicking field goals or just balancing that was horrific. And this year, especially in the second half of the season, Doug found his rhythm. I now feel confident when he goes for it on 4th down that he's going to make the right decision. His play calling is absolutely outstanding, and he's the best coach in football right now. He just out-coached the greatest coach of all time. How about that hit from Malcolm Jenkins on Brandon Cooks? Are you kidding me? That was Brian Dawkins meeting Algie Crumpler from the AFC Championship in 2004. That is going to be a hit that lives on in utter infamy in the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have been uber critical of Malcolm Jenkins, especially down the stretch. The second half of the season, overall, this season has been Malcolm Jenkins' worst season as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he has turned it up in these playoffs. He has done an exceptional job. He is a big reason why James White didn't have the kind of game that he had against the Falcons. It was surprising that they put Jalen Mills. I don't really know why they got away from the game plan of stopping Gronk in the first half, where you had Jalen Mills on Gronk and you had Jenkins there. Then it seemed like in the second half, they're putting Darby and Corey Graham on Gronk. But that's for another day. That's for another gripe. We're not going to make this a rip-on Jim Swartz type video because we're damn Super Bowl champion, baby! But I think, this is going to be one of those games, man. So many, I think from a neutral standpoint, football fans are happy. This was in a very, very exciting game. This was, someone said the hit on Cooks was not dirty. That is what happens. I'll use a hockey analogy. I'm from Canada. It's always been a thing. You got to keep your head up. He got the ball and looked like a deer in headlights. You cannot do that in the middle of the field when you're established as a runner. You're not protected as a passer. You don't get into those, protect the head or leading with the crowd or anything like that. You are in wide open field. You're telling me that, it's one of those things that there's the people that are upset with the call. You can have that, but there's the people that says, oh my God, those damn Eagles. But you're telling me James Harrison tried to do that on Nelson Aguilar early in the game and whiffed on it. Aguilar spin moved out of it. If James Harrison had proper tackling technique on that play, there would have been 2 murders on the field today. But unfortunately, it was Brandon Cooks, who had football IQ of -6, got blown up by a converted corner at safety and Malcolm Jenkins. And for me, man, that was I still think that's my favorite play of the game. It's not on, Sheldon Brown, Reggie Bush level from the Saints game back in, I think, 2006. But that was probably my favorite play. I know a lot of people are probably going to give it to maybe the Brandon Graham sack or the Trey Burton passing touchdown to Nick Foles. But that was my favorite play. Oh, man. Malcolm Butler not playing. What was that storyline? What was that about? Malcolm Butler, are you kidding me? How are you not playing your best corner? You put Eric Rowe out there. Classic Belichick. I mean, I was a huge fan of Eric Rowe. I had him mocked to the Philadelphia Eagles when he got drafted. I still think he has some upside. But classic Belichick, man, that's just, that's the downside of Belichick. He is so stuck in his ways that if you do the littlest thing, there's a chance Malcolm Butler was late to a team meeting. He slept in and was late by 5 minutes. And you straight up just didn't take, your Super Bowl hero corner, clutch corner. Might not have the best year, but still is productive and definitely better than Eric Rowe. Not playing him. I don't know if that makes a difference in this game because that Patriot defense was absolutely horrendous. That was the Patriots defense that we saw in the first half of the NFL season. But, I mean, that was definitely something he missed the plane. Is that actually what happened? Oh, my God, man. The third down stop hurdle was actually awesome, man. Man, at the end of the day, if you followed me on Twitter, you saw my tweets. I was ripping on this defense. I could not believe the defense was playing as bad as it was. But at the end of the day, given all the adversity, and when you look at the two teams on paper going up against Brady, I'm so proud of this Eagle team. This is, for you Eagle fans, I know there's a lot of you guys right now watching this. This is a team that, soak it in, man. It's one of those things right now, I can't even process it. Right now, I thought that, if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, you asked me a week ago to win the Super Bowl, how would you react? It's definitely not how I would react right now. It's kind of like calm before the storm, before like a hurricane or tornado hits. Like, I feel like after I'm done recording this, and I just have time for me to relax and just set in, maybe the waterworks start. I don't know yet. I know, because I know, like I said, I know there's a lot of people, especially people that I talk to and engage with on Twitter, that have been Eagle fans a lot longer than me and have endured a lot more, that it might mean a little bit more because, it's more of a family thing and I don't have that tie. But, I mean, this is a group of guys we'll never forget. Like, look, looking at the roster, Bradham might not be back. Burton might not be back. Blunt might not be back. But they are always going to have a spot in Philadelphia Eagle fans' memory. The memories that they made today. Someone says Peterson owes Brandon Graham his life. No, Jim Schwartz owes what do you call it? Doug Peterson did everything. He's the head coach and in control of the offense. He did everything he needed to do. Jim Schwartz, I don't know what he was doing. I think we're seeing now why Jim Schwartz didn't get that head coaching gig. Who do I think was the real Super Bowl MVP? If Corey Clement didn't have the controversy over his catch, I probably would give it to him. But, I mean, you got to give it to Nick Foles. Nick Foles, he's the backup quarterback. No one gave him a chance against Tom Brady. And for him to duel Tom Brady, get in a shootout, and come out on top, put up 41 points, it has to be Nick Foles. I'm not upset with that. I mean, this is crazy, man. This is... I wasn't even prepared for this. I had this stream all set up from earlier this morning. I had thumbnails already made just in case the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I guess maybe subliminally I just thought, it's got to be just they're going to fall up short, or we're still going to respect the fight and the hunger from this team, and against all the odds we still have to be incredibly proud of what they did. I mean, this is I know, give it what you want, okay? I understand that you're probably going to still put the Patriots losing to the Giants with Eli and the Tyreek catch as the biggest upset. But in terms of a team, a roster, and the adversity, not even come close. In terms of being a true underdog, not necessarily... Like, that game, I don't remember the number of it, but the Giants-Patriot game was more of the big underdog story because the Patriots were 18-0. This here was the team that won had the massive underdog story. Fuck EDP. The guy's trash. Don't go watch his shit. This is everything that we wanted, man. And I don't know, man. I'm lost for words. I'll say right now, if you guys want to ask us a couple questions, I'm still sticking around here for a little bit. So any questions you want me to answer about the Super Bowl or anything like that, I'll let you know. But I don't know. If Nick gets fooled, if Nick Foles gets traded, where will he get traded to? I have a gut feeling Arizona. If Arizona loses out on Kirk Cousins, I could see maybe they go down the Kevin Kolb storyline again. Not fleece that bad, I don't think. Eagles got a second-round pick and DRC, which was their starting corner. I could see Arizona being a spot, potentially, a team that has playoff aspirations. But Super Bowl MVP, you give it to Nick Foles. How much is Nick Foles worth because he won the Super Bowl? I mean, he's not worth a first. There's going to be a lot of people right now, depending on who you follow on Twitter, are going to say that Nick Foles is worth a first, man. We're going to get a first-round pick. I think we could get, from the right team, might not just be Nick Foles, a second and a fifth or sixth. I think second is absolutely the highest we could get for him. My gut says we probably could get a third, fourth, like maybe something like that, get two good value middle-round picks. But ultimately, man, I think that this is something that I'm going to be incredibly adamant about. Philly doesn't have a second or third round pick, right? So I am definitely chomping at the bit for them to add a pick through that round because, let's be honest, Nick Foles is going to be a backup. But when you look at the scenario of Carson Wentz looking like he might be ready for week one, but if he's not, I don't want to rush him back. That's what happens with RG3. You don't want that kind of scenario. If we have Nick Foles here next year, we could probably roll with Nick Foles for the first 4 weeks. If we have an early bye, roll it to him the bye or something like that. But ultimately, I honestly, even though I want the picks, it's up to Nick Foles. If Nick Foles comes to Howie Roseman and says, I want to go be a starter somewhere, then I think he earned the right for everything he's done for this city, everything he's done for this team. He's now a legend, Eagles legend. I think he deserves the right to go try to be a starter somewhere and, ride off into the sunset. If he says, I'm fine being here, I think Philly owes him. You're staying. We will hold on to you. You are incredibly valuable to this team. We're never going to forget what you've done for us. You're staying on as our backup. We can roll in the sunset. The way Carson Wentz plays, it never hurts to have a great backup. So I honestly think with the Nick Foles being traded, it's all on Nick Foles and what he wants to do. Am I ready to hear about the Corey Clement catch for a year? No, because if anyone ever brings up that argument, I'm just going to say, well, they had how many blown calls on the Eagles? I didn't see one blown call of in-game play against the Patriots, there was countless ones. So, I mean, the refs definitely, even if Philly lost this game, I wouldn't say that the refs screwed the Eagles or anything like that, or the refs are on the Patriots side, even though it's becoming definitely a meme on social media. But, I mean, it's plain as day. If you think that Corey Clement touchdown call was a blown call from the refs, you have to see the PIs against the Eagles. Those are blown calls as well. So it was a two-way street. It wasn't like the game was 100% cleanly called and that Clement touchdown is the only thing that's somewhat controversial. So no, I do not care about that. Do I think Belichick? I think Bill Belichick, out of everyone there in New England, would be the only guy that leaves. I think there's rumors that McDaniels might not leave for Indianapolis. I think maybe he knows something we don't. So my guess, if I had to make an uber bold prediction of something happening, it would be Belichick retires, McDaniels takes over for the Patriots. Who do you think will be on the Madden 19 cover? Todd Gurley. Where do you think Malcolm Butler will go? Maybe the Saints, because they had those discussions already. Very enticing to go play with Marshawn Lattimore, even though I'm pretty sure Ken Crawley played pretty well. I think he got graded out fairly well from Pro Football Focus. Man. Why do I hate EDP? I hate EDP because he is a clown that gives... I don't hate him personally. I hate his content. If someone said C4 EDP's at this bar, he wants you to go meet up, I'd probably have a fucking beer with him because I personally don't think he'd act like the way he portrays himself in videos in real life. But the way he portrays himself in videos, he's an absolute clown, man, and gives us Eagle fans that do a lot of social media and stuff like this on YouTube, particularly a bad name because, oh, you're a Madden, you talk about the Eagles, you like EDP. He's like, I'm nothing like him, but he's the guy that everyone gets referred to. Justin Timberlake's halftime show was terrible. I made a good tweet that my girlfriend just said, get this halftime show over. I want to watch the Super Bowl. So that's how you know she's a keeper. Everyone knows girls always just want to watch the halftime show. She just wanted to be done. We're trying to keep it Eagles related. Do you think this is the start of a dynasty or a one-year wonder? Obviously, I'm not going to say it's a one-year wonder, and I don't think a lot of people will because we're going to get Jason Peters back next year. All-Pro. Was playing like an All-Pro left tackle. We're going to get Carson Wentz, who's playing like an MVP. We're going to get Jordan Hicks, who's the MVP of our defense. Those three guys are drastic. Those three guys, if you take any team in the NFL, any team you want, from the Buffalo Bills all the way down to the Minnesota Vikings, B to V, if you say they're losing their MVP caliber quarterback, they're losing their best signal caller on defense, and they're losing their debatably best offensive lineman. An offensive lineman that's playing at worst, depending on what spectrum on, at a Pro Bowl level. If you told me that that team there would still find a way to win the Super Bowl, I would say you're crazy. And I think most teams couldn't do that. So the fact that we're getting all that added ammunition back. We're getting Sidney Jones, who is basically a second first-round pick. You can pretty much view the Eagles draft this year as we have 2 first-round picks because we're getting Sidney Jones and then whoever we select at 32. Dynasty... I don't think I'm ever going to be that boastful, but I think that Philadelphia is going to open up as Super Bowl favorites next year, and it's going to be a tougher schedule. They might face a little bit Dallas Cowboys, where the Dallas Cowboys played so good last year. Obviously, they were one and done. I need to remind you of that. And then this year, they definitely had a very, strength of schedule-wise, a very hard schedule, and they didn't perform. So Philadelphia, they're obviously going to face a lot of top dogs, a lot of number 1 teams from other divisions, but... I'm saying right now, man, I think the Philadelphia Eagles they're now a team. This way, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to come out outright claim they're a dynasty, but I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Eagles right now are a team that has got into the role of assume that they're going to get into the playoffs every single year as long as Carson Wentz is their quarterback. This is their window right now. We saw what happened with the Legion of Boom, right? The Legion of Boom was dominant every time Seattle at the beginning of the year. You knew maybe they'd start really slow at the beginning of the year, but you knew at some point that the Seahawks were going to make to the playoffs. You know, at some point, they're always in it for the Super Bowl. Now the Legion of Boom's starting to dwindle. They're getting old. Their window's definitely closing. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be that team in the NFC that's going to be like, well, you know, when you're doing your big-time predictions, it's going to be, all right, the Eagles are going to make the playoffs and like this and this. They're always going to be the first team that comes off your mouth when you talk about teams in the NFC that are going to make a legitimate playoff run. So, and another thing, man, this is another big-time key. Another big-time key is, you know, one of those things is when you have a really good team. You take a team from the preseason, right, that has, you think Super Bowl favorites. You think of the Patriots. You think of the Steelers. You think of the Seahawks. You think of, I don't know. We'll just say with those teams, right? You even think worst case scenario though, if they lose their starting quarterback, if the Patriots lost Brady, if the Seahawks lost Russell Wilson, all these things, you're probably like, they might not make the playoffs, man. Like it's always, you know, somewhat risky to make a big bold prediction because you never can predict injuries, right? You never know if, you know, you want to say that, you know, the Patriots next year, they're getting ready to bounce back. But you never know. If Brady goes down, you know, you can't outright say that. But with the Eagles, we could not face any worse injury crisis. We could not lose any more important players, and we still did it. So I don't want to say the Eagles are outright injury-proof. No matter what happens, this team, we saw this year, Super Bowl champions can win it, but they're as injury-proof as any team is in the NFL. And there is going to be very little roster turnover. The big names are obviously Trey Burton, tight end, threw the touchdown pass to Nick Foles. You got Nigel Bradham, outside linebacker. Those are probably the two big names in terms of free agents that we're probably going to be able to get one of them back. I think it will be Nigel Bradham unless they are fully invested on keeping Trey Burton and then maybe drafting a linebacker replacement out of the draft. But, you know, we're the Eagles now, right? We're a team that teams want to come play for. We might be able to get that Patriot discount now that we're looking like a dynasty. We have the young franchise quarterback. We saw with Alshon Jeffrey. We saw with Alshon Jeffrey before. Alshon Jeffrey predicted he was winning the Super Bowl last year. Nostradamus much. Just like I predicted back in October of last year that Eagles were going to get Alshon Jeffrey in free agency. He took that. He took my yin and yang. It rubbed off on him, and we got the Super Bowl. But, what was the point I was trying to make? So hype. I've had a couple beers. All right. People want to come play in Philadelphia. So, you know, in a different world, the Browns are kind of uptight against the cap, and they're trying to re-sign Trey Burton and Nigel Bradham. They're going to want big-time money, but people are going to take discounts to come to Philadelphia. Not major discounts, not like we can look at the free agency wire and see anyone that's, you know, getting ready for their last contract, like, well, he's going to come to us for $1 million or something like that. But that is now something that absolutely is in play. We have a young franchise quarterback, and we are a team that's geared up to defend this championship next year. We are a team that's geared up to try and become the next big dynasty. We have a young core of team. We have a mix of great young players with guys that are in their prime. We don't have really anyone that's on their last legs. We don't have anyone that's a year, maybe have one more year. So, but that being said, man, it's going to be a very, very interesting free agency period. No, stop going with Jarvis. We're not getting Jarvis. We're not getting anyone like that. We're going to be, if Philadelphia can be able to somehow swing away that Jason Peters and Darren Sproles can come back under contract and we can re-sign Bradham and Trey Burton, I'm going to be ecstatic. That for me is better, 10 times better than signing Jarvis Landry, signing any of these other people because you had to build through the draft, and Howie Roseman and Joe Douglas are absolutely wheeling and dealing at draft time. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, Gronk said he's unsure if he wants to keep playing after the loss. He's just a crybaby. I love Gronk. I will say right now, Gronk is one of my favorite players in the NFL. Even though he's on the Patriots, I consistently will say, I've said it in streams, that I think he's the most dominant player in the NFL. I'm a big fan. He's just soaking up right now that they lost the game and he didn't make the final play. He'll be fine at training camp. Ertz should be the #1 tight end. I still think a healthy Gronk is one. I think a hot take would be Zach Ertz is better than Travis Kelce. I mean, didn't have a single drop all year. So, what do you think is going to happen to Tom Brady? Retirement? I think Brady's back. Brady's not going to retire. I think Brady's going to play 2 more years, so 2 more years after this year, unless he has a bad injury. You think Tom Brady's the GOAT? Tom Brady's absolutely the greatest quarterback, probably the greatest player that's ever played. Who are the Eagles getting in the first round? My mock draft is coming out next week. I think it's next week anyway, so you'll find that out. I will say it's either a linebacker or a tight end. Linebacker or tackle. I'll give you some names, because I don't even have my mock draft written down somewhere. So they either are getting Malik Jefferson, Tremaine Edmonds, Rashawn Evans, Brian O'Neill, Orlando Brown. There's 5. There you go. Yeah, the free Meek Mill after this. Oh, my God, man. This game is... Someone already said on Twitter, you have to delete your Derek Barnett draft video because I kind of crapped on the Derek Barnett pick. And, again, every time someone brings it up, I have to stress. I didn't hate Derek Barnett as a player. I just hated going defensive end. The fact that he made that play, I mean, he's a little bit of a Super Bowl hero. You think they can keep Jeffrey and Aguilar? They're both signed on for future years. What makes you want a Clement jersey over a Jai? Jai, first of all, he has that knee injury. I don't know how much more into his second contract that Jai is going to be able to play. Corey Clement, man, he's living the dream. He was an Eagle fan, grew up an Eagle fan, had a picture of him in high school at the Eagles doing a tour, saying he was going to play for the Eagles. Undrafted, no one wanted him, and he found himself a massive role in this team. So I just think from a story standpoint, I mean, plus you got to think of Vinny Curry. Vinny Curry was a diehard Eagles fan. You look at one of the best videos, if you're an Eagles fan, that you might not have seen, is watch Vinny Curry when he got drafted. He was almost crying when he got drafted because the Eagles he was a diehard Eagles fan. He said he wasn't even taking offers from when people were trying to interview him. He wouldn't let them come to their house because he had all his Eagle stuff on the wall. He didn't want to take it down. So, Corey Clement and Vinny Curry are 2 players that I really, really like a lot more. Like, a lot of people give Vinny Curry crap because his big-time contract doesn't necessarily get all the sacks. But I know he's a diehard Eagle fan. He loves playing for this team. He's definitely a guy who might throw in the consideration to take a pay cut. But yeah, I don't know what jersey. I don't have a Fletcher Cox jersey. I don't have a Brandon Graham jersey. If I play Sidney Jones in Madden, I might buy a Sidney Jones jersey. I don't know what I'm going to do for a jersey yet. I'm more focused on being able to buy some of those championship swag before it gets sold out. So I'm actually going to hop off here not too long, and I'll go do that. I'll stick around for another 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes maybe, to make this. I don't know yet, but I pulled the big 3 this year. One of my buddies just sent me a text and said I just had a Gordie Howe hat trick. I had a kid this year. I won my fantasy football league, and the Eagles won a Super Bowl trophy. Yeah. You want a Foles jersey? Luckily enough, I bought a Foles jersey after the 27-2 season, so I'm gonna go find a way to buy the Super Bowl patch. I'm gonna sew that on. I'm gonna probably wear that jersey with pride. Do I like Rasul Douglas? Love Rasul Douglas. Think he's probably a guy that can either start as a slot corner or move to safety. I think he probably might move to safety. Do we keep Torrey or let him go? Someone has to give here, and I think with the fact that you save $5 million against the cap if you let Torrey Smith go, he's kind of a niche player that I definitely think Mack Hollins, in terms of just being a deep threat type of guy, can replicate. So I do think Torrey Smith gets let go. You think LeGarrette Blount will leave? LeGarrette Blount's one of those guys, he's not a massive hit against the cap, and for how well he played in the Super Bowl, he's getting the Nick Foles treatment from me. Like, LeGarrette Blount is playing for like $1 million. He's nothing against the cap. If LeGarrette Blount wants to come back, maybe I would say keep him if he wants to come back. Less money. If he wants to just play for another Super Bowl, we'll go with that. Am I going to the parade? I wish I was. I wish I was going to the parade. I know, it's just too much to go there. But I might now be pressured to go into the game that they raised the banner up. The first home game of the year. Does Patrick Robinson leave or take a pay cut? I think Robinson is probably going to leave. He's old, and he might get a lot more money on the open market, and it's his last time to get a big contract, so I think he might cash out. What will happen with Nick Foles? I stated earlier, I think it's up to him. My gut says they'll trade him. My heart says that I hope the Eagles don't do him dirty and let him make the decision. If he wants to stay, he stays. Nick Foles might ride off to the sunset and retire. He already, you know what I'm saying? He might just have that epic, boom, came in, took over for Carson Wentz, won the Super Bowl, and that's it, man. He's riding off to the sunset. We'll start building the statue in Philadelphia somewhere. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here, fellas, because like I said, I gotta hop on NFL Shop and see if I can grab some of that Eagles gear. But ultimately, man, like I said, I'll have a video out tomorrow talking about the game a little bit more in depth. I'll be a little bit more clear in the head to properly reflect on what was the Eagles' first Super Bowl ring. Where are all your ring jokes now? But thank you guys. I know a lot of Eagle fans right now are in the chat watching this. I mean, this is a moment, man. Cherish this moment, man. You never know. You never know when we'll be back here again. Hopefully, it's the beginning of something special. This is only the beginning. But, you never want to be forward-thinking enough that you don't enjoy this while it's here. So that's pretty much the only thing I can say. And thank you guys for watching. Until next time, it's C4 saying subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button if you're absolutely hyped for the Eagles winning their very first Super Bowl championship. And peace out. Go Eagles, fly! Eagles, fly!